All right, now let's talk a little bit about the creator economy in Nigeria, and that's different from the creative economy. Let's give you an overview of what it is. Yes, so you've been hearing of content creators and all of that. This economy or this sector captures them mostly. Just a little bit into how that is doing on the continent. We have a report that's been published by Communic and TM Global. It's called the Africa Creator Economy Report for 2026. And it shows that the continent's creator market is worth currently about $3 billion, and it's projected to grow to $17.8 billion by 2030. That's supposed to be a sign of acceleration potential across media, culture, and digital influence. However, individual creators still face significant what they call middle class gap. So while as a whole the value of the economy or of the sector is growing, individuals seem not to be feeling the impact, and they say that an average of about 56% of creator members of that economy in Nigeria earn less than $100 a day. So we see Africa Creator Economy value currently at $3.08 billion, growth to reach 17.84. Nigeria dominates the continent when it comes to creator economy, and the sector is valued, that's in Nigeria, $31.2 million. That's about $50 billion. That's the value that's been projected for 2026. Nigeria boasts of over 400,000 Instagram creators, 1,000 followers, 6.3 million TikTok creators, and of course this sounds really close to home. But despite that cultural influence, 56% of Nigerian creators earn less than $100 monthly. Only 3% earn above $5,000 monthly. And the theme or the trend for 2026 as expected is what they call the swag economy. And the swag there means sound, walk, attire, and grops. A rising trend of creators moving beyond the content into venture building. Let's explore this and so much more with Ms. Adetutu Laditon. She's the founder and creative director of Wolf Studios. Hi, Ms. Laditon. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Morning. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
I know, right? So, I mean, we see these great numbers. Does it resound with you as a player in this industry when we see the volume of activity, the value in billions of dollars? Is it true from your perspective?
I think it's a chicken and egg situation. So the headlines are exciting, but do they really tell the full story of what it means for the Africa creator economy? And you've pointed out some really good facts. So it is projected that the creator economy might be worth billions, but value creation or value concentration is still a primary issue. A small percentage of creators actually capture the majority of revenue that comes into the ecosystem. And you have to also understand that music is also part of creator. So think of your big music artists. They probably have the largest chunk of the revenue we're talking about. This middle class gap that you called out exists because most creators in this region sort of lack the infrastructure to monetize effectively. So we do not have great monetization systems, distribution leverage, which a lot of the bigger creators in bigger markets and mature markets have. Our business education around building a sustainable business doesn't exist. And then when you think of our brand deal pipelines, which is a core revenue channel for a lot of creators, it's very, very limited. And then there are other issues, legal framework, data, capital. So the talent is not necessarily a problem, we just don't have the structure. And so in order to close the gap, it sort of requires creators from shifting their mindset from being those content producers to thinking about the business aspect of things. This means building a repeatable revenue model. Think about stronger platforms for discoverability and monetization. Think about how you have long-term brand deals, market alignment, how the ecosystem supports this long-term growth and not just virality. It also just requires us to think about the macro factors. There are many things creators cannot do anything about. If a big advertiser isn't making as much money, when it comes to revenue, they wouldn't be able to invest in marketing. And if they're not investing in marketing, you as a creator can't equally earn enough. Right? So there are many macro factors that are out of the hands of the creators. If you even think about the biggest spenders globally, what percentage of their marketing budget or advertising budget comes into Africa? So if we get certain things right from the business standpoint, we would see this market expansion happening, but it's going to take us looking at all the factors I've mentioned: building sustainable monetization, fixing infrastructure, closing the gap between the big creators and the smaller creators in our region. And it's those baby steps that would help this projection that you called out.
So are the middlemen taking advantage of these weaknesses? Because you did talk about the legal weakness, structure, and all of that. Where's the money then going to? Is it going to some middlemen somewhere?
I don't necessarily think there are like middlemen getting the money. If you look at it, we're still in the very nascent stage of what we call the creator economy in Africa, right? Everyone with a smartphone, good internet connectivity can become a creator. So first and foremost, there are no gatekeepers. You don't need anybody to help you get started on your creator journey. What you do need to understand is that there's a business behind it. There's a business behind being a creator on any platform, whether it is online or off platform, right? So the challenge then is a lot of creators do not understand the business aspect of it. How do I create a structure that allows me storytell in a way that is sustainable and build an audience? If you build an audience, then you can monetize the audience, because that is what you could easily take to any brand to unlock more monetization or unlock a great brand deal, right? I don't necessarily think there are middlemen. We are seeing policies, and I mean, the tax reform that you talked about, all of this are coming in, but they are not necessarily the key drivers for the challenges we see right now. What we see as a whole is the market isn't built with monetization structures to support the creator economy in itself. So you have a few revenue streams, but it's only a few people that can dip their hands into it. And the biggest one here is brand deals. If brands come and you're able to offer value to them, they think about this as a long-term deal. But how many brands can actually sustain the millions of creators that come on a daily basis? It's not sustainable.
So how, from your perspective, can Nigeria build a creator infrastructure that can be sustained?
I'd say a few things. There are the big tech platforms, like I rightly said, and the big monetization structures were not built with Africa in mind, right? And so we have weaker monetization tools. We have a lower CPM. If you look at it, CPM is cost per thousand. It's what an advertiser is willing to pay for 1,000 impressions or views on their ads. In mature markets, it can be as high as, and I'm going to use USD as the variable here, it could be as high as $15 to $20. But in Africa, it's relatively very low, right? If you also think about limited brand access budgets, think of your biggest advertisers in Nigeria, the telcos. What percentage of that can they really spend to scale? I feel like there's a lot we have to do on helping creators think of the business aspect that is not algorithm based. Those things like, if you want to support the creator ecosystem, helping them get better connectivity, right, so that they can storytell and produce for a global audience. The more we are able to sort of push our culture, push our influence, which people are very interested in watching, by the way, it would help them make more money. That's number one. So production quality, storytelling quality has to improve. The second one is to think about all the other monetization prospects we leave on the table. Creators are not necessarily thinking about like IP ownership or licensing content in itself. And those are things that when you think about scripted shows, digital shows, things that can be adapted, franchise, and sort of distributed across multiple markets are ways in which you can actually scale and pull in enough revenue. The other one would probably be like thinking about selling. We talk about merchandising and commerce in itself, right? How you can begin to create digital products, whether it is e-tools, learning, right? Or even create your own product that can help you attract more revenue. I feel this is some of the baby steps that would happen, but I would primarily say the business of being a creator, that knowledge gap has to sort of begin to be scaled to help creators scale. That's it.
So yesterday we had Ms. Bolanle Austin Peters on the program, and of course we talked about issues like this, getting structure and getting the youth employed sustainably also. So would you say it is more of the responsibility of the private sector to ensure that this structure is built and personnel are empowered with knowledge to start off this journey of closing that gap, that widening gap?
I would say it's the responsibilities of everybody, including the creators that want to make money. You see, we're in an age and time where there's so much resources. Like, you pick up the tool, AI tools are at your disposals, whether it is ChatGPT, Gemini, there are different tools which you learn. And there's always new video coming out on a regular basis with people teaching people how to use some of these tools. I feel we don't wait for the private sector or wait for the public sector to learn. As a content creator, as somebody who wants to develop and scale, what have you started to put in the pipeline to ensure that that supports your growth and scale? I love when ecosystem players come together and begin to think of opportunities to support, right? But I also feel like we're not a lazy generation. There's so much resources out there. Tap into what you need to learn and then use this design programs that are being created to support your growth in itself. And I say it's the responsibility of the creator who wants to succeed, not necessarily the government or the private sector. Nobody owes you anything at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's your pocket, it's your economy, so you make it work. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Adetutu Laditon, founder and creative director of Wolf Studios, for your time and views this morning.
Thank you so much.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll talk about the poultry industry. Well, we might say that the price of maize and the raw materials for feed meal is reducing, and we're not seeing it reflect in the price of chicken or eggs. We'll find out why, what's happening in between right after this break. Please stay with us.